welcome to the first edition of the Crab Trap, where we talk all things NXT. My name is Jason, and I'll be your host today. So first things first, Stand and Deliver season is in the past. It's done and dusted. Let's get through a quick little recap of Stand and Deliver. Kicking things off, we had the North American title, Ricky Saints, Ethan Page. Ricky came out on top, which I agree, it's the right decision. Following that, we had Hank and Tank becoming the new NXT Tag Champions over Fraxium. It was about time that Fraxium saw their reign end. I mean, how many close calls did they have in their 2 title runs as champions? But elevating Hank and Tank as the next quote-unquote face of the division, I like it. It's something different. Obviously, there's such a gap in the talent between Fraxium and the next closest team, so they had to build up that division a little bit, and it's a perfect building block with Hank and Tank. Up next, we saw Dark State defeat the D'Angelo family. That is just the filler match. I won't like Dark State haven't really impressed me too much. I mean, it's a lot of people that haven't really been wrestling their whole lives, so I'll cut them some slack, but still, it's nothing too major, too fantastic as of yet. But we'll get to the D'Angelo family stuff in a minute. But Stacks turning on Tony, it was well done, but I hated to see it. But again, we'll get to that later. And then we had Sol Ruka defeating 5 other women to become the new NXT Women's North American Champion. Again, I thought that was by far and away the right decision. Sol Ruka has been the unsung hero of that division pretty much since her debut. So to see her get her flowers, very well deserved. Then up next, speaking of the NXT Women's Division, Stephanie Vaquer defended and retained her NXT Women's title in a fatal 4-way match against Jordan Grace, Jada Parker, and Julia. Again, the right decision here. I mean, you look at all 4 women in that match, and you can tell they have a bright future in WWE. I mean, the match was fantastic. Stephanie coming out on top just proves that she is going to be pushed to the moon on the main roster. And then finally, the main event of that match saw Obafemi retain his not North American. I'm so used to him to being that. So it saw Obafemi defend and retain the NXT championship against Trick Williams, the former 2-time champ, and Javon Evans, the young OG. Again, this match just fantastic. I gotta give flowers to Obafemi every single time he's been on Stand and Deliver. He just delivers, no pun intended. But you look at last year, it was him, Dijak, and Briggs for the North American title. That match was absolutely flawless. I think it won Match of the Year for NXT. And then you look at this year, Trick, Javon, Oba. It just was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Trick was pulling out moves that I didn't know he had in his arsenal. And then you look at what Javon Evans can do. That boy bouncy for a reason. And then the Ruler just retaining his title, just nothing short of spectacular. Up next, we're going to talk about the long-awaited return of Noam Dar to NXT. I feel like Metaphor, the Meta Girls, were kind of suffering without him. Not that they're not fantastic. I just feel like that group of Jakara, Lash, Noam, and Oro, they just mesh so well together, and they make for great television. So finally, to see Noam Dar come back, answer Lexis King's open challenge for the Heritage Cup, and even win the Heritage Cup for, I believe, a record 4th time, is just phenomenal, and I'm over the moon that Noam Dar is finally back in NXT. I alluded to it earlier, but now we're going to talk about the D'Angelo family implosion. Stacks turning his back on the family and Tony by kicking him where the sun don't shine. It was tough to watch, but at the same time, it makes it that much more exciting. I thought for a while that Tony D'Angelo has been ready for the main roster. It's just unfortunately that the family around him really wasn't. And so I think that everything's probably going to go their own ways. And eventually I can see Tony getting called up as early as this year in the draft to the main roster, which I think, again, a little long overdue. But it's sad to see that the D'Angelo family warfare is coming. I mean, Stacks, for all we know, took out Luca. Tony told Rizzo to go into hide and go to the safe house. I just think that this match it's gonna need some sort of stipulation, whether it's Extreme Rules, Hell in a Cell, you name it. No holds barred. It's gonna have some repercussions for these two who can just beat the holy hell out of each other. So we had Obafemi come out and cut his little promo. He was interrupted by Trick Williams, who basically said he's tired of people interrupting him. And as that happened, Joe Hendry came on and interrupted him. The two traded words, and it's kind of funny to see them in this position now compared to where they were even like last summer, last fall, where Joe Hendry was teammates with Trick Williams and the two were getting along. And now them trading words where Joe's calling him a spoiled little brat, and Trick said, "Your 5 minutes of fame are up. You lost at WrestleMania." Hendry was like, "Well, at least I was on the card at WrestleMania." So the two were trading words, and then it ultimately led to Joe Hendry saying that he's coming after Obafemi in the NXT title, which is interesting because you can have Joe Hendry 2 belts, or Obafemi 2 belts, whichever way you want to look at it. But I thought that was really interesting, and it's just another. It's more experience in the WWE world for Joe Hendry. I think his contract's up sometime early next year, and I would bet a lot of money on that Joe Hendry will be a WWE superstar one day. But again, I love it. Joe Hendry just constantly gets the reaction he needs in NXT. He's just so over. And it's kind of like sad to see what's happening to Trick Williams. Nothing's bad. I'm not like they're burying him. But I just feel like, and I hate to say it, he's getting stale in NXT. I think an NXT call up or a main roster call up is long overdue for Trick. You can pull the argument that he's still too green in the ring. I don't care. I think he has all the talent and charisma you needed for the main roster. I think he can benefit from a main roster push or even like exposure, especially the main roster crowds once they get into the rhythm of the whoop that trick chant. I think he's gonna take off. Especially look at what's happening to Karrion Kross right now, where he got himself over. I think Trick can easily do that, and it'll benefit for himself. What we're gonna talk about in this week's episode is Stephanie Vaquer retaining her NXT Women's title over Roxanne Perez. I mean, I loved everything about this match. It had that little back and forth. Obviously, Stephanie retaining, which was kind of obvious. She wasn't gonna really drop her belt to Roxanne, who again just seems like she's awaiting the WWE draft where she will be finally a main roster superstar permanently. I mean, she had the little run earlier in this year and probably had a WrestleMania match that didn't fall through, which is unfortunate. But what I really liked about this was the ending of this match. And it just shows how deep the NXT women's division is. You had Stephanie Vaquer in the ring, and then Julia's music hit, and she came out on the ramp. And then the crowd panned to Jordynne Grace just standing there. I mean, the fact that those three women are in NXT at the exact same time is absolutely nuts. And it just shows that the NXT women's division is the most stacked women's division in all of wrestling. I mean, look at that. And not the fact that like Jada Parker was in that Fatal 4-Way, along with like Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, Izzy Dame, Ren Sinclair. Like they had a loaded NXT women's division. And, like, it's kind of unfair to all those names I just said, but at the same time, the game's the game. I mean, you look at, like, 2 years from now, obviously most of these women are going to be up on the main roster. So it's kind of crazy that what WWE has in the pipeline for their women's division. But, like I said, I think Roxanne Perez needs to come up to the main roster. And I really have been enjoying Stephanie Vaquer in WWE so far. To do it for the first edition of the Crab Trap. Let me know down in the comments down below whether you liked NXT or you didn't. While you're down there, please comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. It really helps us out a lot. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.